Hey, my name is Mike, and I've been doing this video production thing since 2018 full time. Now, we've been kind of going over some packages, Josh and I, on, something that can meet the budget client without, discounting our product or giving away something cheap. And so this is what we kind of came up with. Now, us, we always want to put our best foot forward. We're always trying to exercise our craft and, do the best that we can do. But at the same time, we aren't trying to overdo ourselves. So everything included, budget and everything like that, we're putting together like a social media talking head package for a decent price, and it's basically all based on the number of hours we're putting in for work. So, how many hours is it taking for us to come and shoot, set it up, break it down, and that's it. Come home and edit it. And the best part about it is there's no real editing involved. We throw it in, we cut the good take, so it's the beginning, the end, done. Lift the clip, throw it into the timeline, and that's that. So what we're doing here is we're lighting it. I mean, we had an excellent location, as you can see here, so we wanted to do it justice. So that's why we're doing all this lighting and all this good looking setup, because we want this to look fantastic. So it's one setup right there. We're not moving anything. She does, I think 3, 4, or no, I think it's 5. We gave her 5 talking head pieces, but we're not moving around. We are static and steady. And so this is what the image looked like with that nice space. Now, the 16 by 9 looks a whole lot better, but you can see how this light looks absolutely motivated with the light up in the top left corner. And how soft the light is coming on her face, all because of that lighting setup that we had all set up. It's triple diffused, looks good, looks great, sounds good. Everything is just the way it needs to look. Again, the 16 by 9 looks a whole lot better because you have those nice warm accent lights. Now, on the flip side, here is something completely different but around the same price range. Notice how our lighting is super minimal, super setup, but this is going to give us kind of in the same ballpark of what we're looking to do here. Now with this guy, it's multiple close changes and multiple moves, multiple setups within the same building. And we're working with the Rode Wireless Pros for audio. And so all that being said, the nice lighting one with the lady, and then this one with the mini setups, simple lighting, both of those come out to about $1,200 when everything is said and done. So we're talking about production and post-production, about 4 hours in total, which for that's about 2 hours of production and then about 2 hours for just one of us in post-production. And that comes out to about $1,200 or so, depending on if any add-ons or retakes or whatever. So that's one of the things that we're kind of whittling it down to, so we can kind of offer services to local businesses for cheaper, but it's not destroying us by requiring too much work. But what I would love to hear from you, just kind of let me know in the comments. But one of the things Josh and I have gone back and forth over the years is the way we go about our pricing. Because I know when you're a freelancer, it's different. You can have a day rate, and that's my day rate, and I got a full day rate, I got a half day rate, and that's what it is. Versus we're working direct to client with local businesses, and we're like a full production house. So it works different for us. If we were working with an agency, if we were working under somebody, so it's like, hey, we do have that. We do have day rates for working with, a production company, another videographer or cinematographer, or whoever it is that we're talking about. We have day rates like that. But when it's working directly with clients, it's completely different because they don't understand day rate. It's hard for them to understand day rate. So we have to break it down differently, more of an hourly wage, what they're paying for, line items sometimes. But the way we go about it is we do packages. And so it's like, you want this type of video, here's the package. And we have we have a website. You guys already see our website in the description, storykingstudios.com. And our package pricing is there. So you can check that out if you want to take a look and get an idea for yourself. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you price. What's your, philosophy, and your opinion on ours and the way we do it. Because again, like I said, we go back and forth. Sometimes we're pretty solid as, like, again, we have a day rate that's solid. And as inflation goes up or down, that rate goes up or down. But how we break it down to clients is the clincher.
But more than likely, I'm going to turn you over to Judy anyway.
And as you can see here, this is the finished product of one of the videos that the client gets. And you can see the road clip there, the magnet, but it's not too bad. Now this is a client that we did give a day rate to. We were just catching some live footage. We're not editing this, we're just filming it. We are trying to conduct interviews if possible, but if not, the main thing is just to catch the events of the day so that the editor can make a promo. So this we did before, and we actually showed that they did some protests here a few months back. Here's some of the FX3 footage on the gimbal. The color's a little weird, but we didn't do any really color correction. That's for the editor to do. But again, it was so busy. I mean, this is like 10, 20, 30 times the people that were there the first time. And so I think I got one interview versus like I got 4 or 5 last time. I got one interview because it was just that fast. We use this for YouTube, and other times we use it for lighting tests. That right there is the 12K Cine LF, the Ursa. Just gonna do some lighting tests. There is Josh.
Welcome back.
There's the van. Back when we had a studio, we always used to set aside time for testing things, whether it was we got a new camera and we would just go out to the cyc wall and test it, or something else. We would always try to test these things. And so this is what we're doing, utilizing our time to test the cameras to make sure we got everything great. So what we're doing, in addition to the lighting setups, because we just want to stop, in isolated cases, seeing the lighting and go, okay, that's cool. We actually wanted to compare them to each other. But in addition to that, as you can see right here, we're running timecode. And we're running timecode with the timecode generator being the Rode Wireless Pro, because it has timecode in it. And I was always like, well, this is part of the reason why I bought the thing. So, I purchased that. I purchased the Deity thing that will go into the Sonys. This piece right here will go directly into the Sonys, into their multi-port, and this way it'll jam the timecode. It won't do it through the audio port, it'll do it through the multi-port, and it'll actually run the timecode. We could jam it and then pull it right out, and we're good. And then we did the same thing through BNC for the Ursa 12K Cine, and it worked. It worked on all of them. But we ended up finding the quirks later. And that was one of the things that Josh and I have kind of always talked about. And, he was giving me protocol under timecode. Because we never used timecode. We've never really gone with timecode. But now that we're starting to work with different, editors and whatnot, the idea of timecode when we're doing multicams is, it should be a thing. That should be, it is industry. It's industry standard, and it should be standard for us if we want to work more in the industry. And especially with this documentary that we're doing, I'm like, okay, we're running, if this is going to be a legit thing and we're going to do this more often, we just start running timecode. So we give it a shot. We tried it, but it seems to work with the camera brand. In other words, it works fine with the Sonys, but it didn't work fine with the Sony and the Blackmagic. It worked fine in the beginning, but the second you turn them all off, the Sonys remained in sync with each other, but the Blackmagic did not remain in sync with the Sonys. And they all kind of powered down, battery change, whatever. So they when you first jammed them, they were all in sync. And then the second you turn it off, they are no longer in sync. And that was one of the things Josh was like, hey, if you just leave it, if you leave the jam sync or the time code box on the camera, it's never going to fall out, right? It's going to stay in sync with everything. But that's not what we have. So we were trying to see if we can make it work, and it can if it's completely Sony or completely Blackmagic. But if you want to mix the two, that's not going to work. And don't turn it off. You turn it off, rejam it. Now to talk about what we're actually doing here, other than the timecode thing, because that was just like a side quest. What we're actually doing here is comparing the different lighting setups. So we're talking about all on the 600, but we're using all the different softboxes. We're using different types of diffusion in front of the softbox, like a 4x, the 8x hung from the T-bar, and then we're also even using this new light that I won from NAB, which is the Godox F200R, which is the equivalent of the Amaran 22C. And we're trying to compare the light quality that comes from each level of diffusion from each light. And what we're finding in this light is that this is very, very close to some of the other lighting setups where we're using like a 600, and then we're using like the octabox, the softbox, and then we're using the 8x in front of it. And then we're like, you know what? If we use that F200R with the 4x in front of it, and then the T-bar in front of that with the 8x set of diffusion, it gives off the same light quality. And it's beautiful and it's soft. And the thing about this setup here is it's only one light stand, and it's compact in comparison to the other setups. The other thing is that we were learning what some of these setups do, because it works different for photography and flash photography versus constant lighting. And so, yeah, we learned about the deep parabolic softbox. And Josh should be having a video coming out with the results of this whole thing pretty soon. But what I came away with is that you can get a really nice looking interview light with the right amount of diffusion. And that's why you've seen us with our setups so often. And we really settled on this whole T-bar diffusion in front of an already softened light, just to take that edge off and give you that really nice soft light that looks very natural. And it could be anything, you know. Obviously, we're using a 600, but the 600 was usually at 20, 30%, somewhere in that area. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but we call it out in the big long video that we did. But yeah, it remained pretty constant and low. So you could do this with a 300, and you're talking about 300 with the Bowen softbox and the T-bar, which is very easy to do, as I've shown. And then at the very beginning, you know, we showed what's the difference between my cheap 99 cents only store shower curtain that was white versus the, you know, the half grid or whatever grid it was, the sheet of diffusion that came with our 8x. And it was different, but it wasn't that different. And because it was doing what it was doing, knocking the edge off, you could do it with that. And I have another video that I will be coming out with soon about cheap diffusion. Talk to you on the next one.